Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, September 19th, 2022. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's NFL Week 2 matchups and look ahead to tonight's two games. We have college football to recap, Major League Baseball, Wnba Finals, Major League Soccer, golf, NASCAR. We're doing Major League Baseball power rankings on today's show. Dancing with the Stars begins tonight, so we'll preview the show and pick a preseason winner of the show. News and notes, and best bet. We'll start the NFL. We'll go over Sunday's results, and we'll look ahead to two games being played tonight. Jets over the Browns 31-30. Jets 1-1, Browns 1-1. Joe Flacco, 26 of 44, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns. He threw back the clock. Jacoby Brissett, 22 of 27, 229 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Lions over the Commanders 36-27. Commanders dropped the 1-1. Detroit's 1-1 too. Jared Goff 20 of 34, 256 yards, 4 touchdowns. Carson Wentz 30 of 46, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Buccaneers over the Saints 20-10. Bucks 2-0, Saints 1-1. Tom Brady 18 of 30, 290 yards, and a touchdown. Jameis Winston 25 of 40, 236 yards, a touchdown, 3 picks. Giants over the Panthers, 19-16. Giants 2-0, Panthers 0-2. Daniel Jones, 22 of 34, 176 yards and a touchdown. Baker Mayfield, 14 of 29, 149 yards and a touchdown. Patriots over the Steelers, 17-14. Pats 1-1, Steelers 1-1. Mac Jones, 21 of 35, 252 yards, a touchdown, a pick. And Mitch Trubisky, 21 of 33, 168 yards, a touchdown, a pick. Jaguars over the Colts 20-0 or 24-0. Jags 1-1, Colts 0-1-1. Trevor Lawrence 25 of 30, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns. Matt Ryan was awful, 16 of 30, 195 yards and 3 picks. Dolphins over the Ravens 42-38. Miami 2-0. Baltimore 1-1. Tua Tagovailoa played the game of his life. 36 of 50, 469 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 picks. And Lamar Jackson, 21 of 29, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 9 for 119 and a touchdown on the ground. Rams over the Falcons, 31-27. Rams 1-1, Falcons 0-2. Matt Stafford, 27 of 36, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. And Marcus Mariota, 17 of 26, 196 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. 49ers over the Seahawks, 27-7. San Fran 1-1, Seattle 1-1. Jimmy Garoppolo, 13 of 21, 154 yards and a touchdown. And Geno Smith, 24 of 30, 179 yards, or 197 yards and a pick. And Trey Lance, we'll get into him later. 2 of 3, 30 yards. Left the game with an injury. Just very unfortunate. Cowboys over the Bengals, 20-17 on a game-winning field goal as time expired by Brett Meyer. Cowboys 1-1, Cincy 0-2. Cooper Rush, 19 of 31, 235 yards and a touchdown. Joe Burrow, 24 of 36, 199 yards and a touchdown. Broncos over the Texans, 16-9. Broncos 1-1, Houston 0-1-1. Russell Wilson, 14 of 31, 219 yards, a touchdown, the pick. And Davis Mills, 19 of 3, 177 yards. Cardinals over the Raiders, 29-23 in overtime on a game-ending 59-yard fumble return by Byron Murphy. Cardinals 1-1, Raiders 0-2. Kyler Murray, 31 of 49, 277 yards, a touchdown, a pick. And 5 of 28 on the ground. And Derek Carr, 25 of 39, 252 yards and 2 touchdowns, and 1 for 9 on the ground. And the Packers over the Bears, 27-10. Packers 1-1, Bears 1-1. Aaron Rodgers, 19 of 25, 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. Justin Fields, 7 of 11, 70 yards and a pick. He was just awful. And he had a rushing touchdown. All right, now we look ahead to tonight's two games. 7:15 on ESPN, you have the Titans and the Bills. This was a Monday night game last year in Tennessee, and the Titans won. One of their many big wins a year ago. we won't see Ed Oliver or Trent White in this game for Buffalo. Buffalo's a 10-point favorite. Total's 47.5. I really like the under a lot. I don't like what I saw from the Titans offense last week. The Bills are missing 2 important players on defense, but their defense is better than the Giants' defense. So give me under 47.5. I project 10 and 43 and 4/5. And then the second game, you have the Vikings at the Eagles from Philly, 8:30 on ABC. The Eagles are now 2.5-point favorites. Total is 50.5. This is really, 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 really hard because I'll pass on the total because it's right. But I have to do a slight lean here towards the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'll make the pick a slight lean to the Eagles minus 2.5. But what I would do is take the money line and take the total down to 47.5 and take the over. And then do anytime touchdowns for A.J. Brown and Dalvin Cook. And maybe Justin Jefferson as the same game parlay for tonight. So now move on to college football. Some big results from the weekend that we have to discuss. We'll begin with Friday night. Florida State over Louisville, 35-31. Florida State is 3-0. Louisville's 1-2. And Wyoming upsets Air Force 17-14. Wyoming 3-1. Air Force 2-1. Saturday, Virginia Tech over Wofford 27-7. Virginia Tech 2-1. Wofford 0-3. Number 1 Georgia over South Carolina 48-7. Georgia 3-0. South Carolina 1-2. Number 4 Michigan over UConn 59-0. Michigan 3-0. UConn 1-3. Number 6 Oklahoma over Nebraska 49-14. Oklahoma 3-0. Nebraska 1-3. Number 9 Kentucky over Youngstown State 31-0. Kentucky 3-0. Youngstown 2-1. Number 17, Baylor over Texas State, 42-7. Baylor 2-1, Texas State 1-2. Missouri over App Christian, 34-17. Missouri 2-1, App Christian 2-1. Army over Villanova, 49-10. Army 1-2, Villanova 2-1. Southern Illinois over Northwestern, 31-24. Southern Illinois with the big upset, they're 1-2. Northwestern 1-2. Syracuse over Purdue, 32-29. Syracuse 3-0. Purdue 1-2. Cincinnati over Miami of Ohio, 38-17. Cincy 2-1. Miami of Ohio 1-2. Kent State over Long Island, 63-10. Kent 1-2. LIU 0-3. Indiana over Western Kentucky, 33-30 in overtime. Indiana 3-0. Western 2-1. West Virginia over Towson, 65-7. Towson drops to 2-1. West Virginia is 1-2. Coastal Carolina over Buffalo, 38-26. Coastal 3-0. Buffalo 0-3. The funny thing here is that FanDuel had a line of 11.5. And DraftKings was 12.5. So when I did my Saturday morning parlays, I did one of each side because of how the lines broke, and they won by 12. So that's really funny. Central Michigan over Bucknell, 41-0. Almost said Buffalo. Central 1-2. Bucknell 0-3. UCLA over South Alabama, 32-31. UCLA 3-0. USA 2-1. Iowa State over Ohio, 43-10. Iowa State is 3-0. Ohio is 1-2. Rutgers over Temple, 16-14. Rutgers 3-0. Temple 1-2. Virginia over Old Dominion, 16-14. Virginia 2-1. Old Dominion 1-2. Ball State over Murray State, 31-0. Ball State 1-2. Murray 0-3. Notre Dame over Cal, 24-17. Notre Dame 1-2. Cal 2-1. Tulane upsets Kansas State 17-10. Tulane 3-0. And Kansas State 2-1. UNLV beats North Texas 58-27. UNLV 2-1. North Texas 2-2. Number 25 Oregon kills number 12 BYU 41-20. Oregon 2-1. BYU 2-1. Number 20 Ole Miss over Georgia Tech 42-0. Ole Miss 3-0. Georgia Tech 1-2. Number 22 Penn State over Auburn 41-12. Penn State 3-0. Auburn 2-1. Vandy over Northern Illinois 38-28. Vandy 3-1. Northern Illinois 1-2. Minnesota over Colorado 49-7. Minnesota 3-0. Colorado 0-3. Wisconsin over New Mexico State 66-7. Wisconsin 2-1. New Mexico State 0-4. UMass over Stony Brook 20-3. UMass 1-2. Stony Brook 0-2. App State over Troy 32-28 on a game-ending 53-yard touchdown pass from Chase Bryce to Christian Horn after the team took a safety to get within 6. App State 2-1. Troy drops to 1-2. UAB over Georgia Southern 35-21. UAB 2-1. Georgia Southern 2-1. Number 2 Alabama over UL Monroe 63-7. Alabama 3-0. UL Monroe 1-2. Kansas upsets Houston 48-30. Kansas is 3-0. Holy crap. Houston 1-2. Boise State over Tennessee Martin 30-7. Boise 2-1. UTM 1-2. Number 19 Wake over Liberty 37-36. Wake 3-0. Liberty 2-1. Washington State over Colorado State 38-7. Wazoo 3-0. Colorado State 0-3. Bowling Green over Marshall 34-31. In overtime, Bowling Green 1-2. Marshall 2-1. LSU over Mississippi State 31-16. LSU 2-1. Mississippi State 2-1. Duke over NC A&T 49-20. Duke 3-0. NC State 0-3. East Carolina over Campbell 49-10. East Carolina 2-1. Campbell 1-2. Number 3 Ohio State over Toledo 77-21. Ohio State 3-0. Toledo 2-1. Number 5 Oklahoma State over Arkansas Pine Bluff 63-7. OK State 3-0. Pine Bluff 2-1. Number 10 Arkansas over Missouri State 38-27. Arkansas 3-0. Missouri State 2-1. Number 15 Tennessee over Akron 63-6. Tennessee 3-0. Akron 1-2. Number 16 NC State over Texas Tech 27-14. NC State 3-0. Texas Tech 2-1. Tulsa over Jacksonville State 54-17. Tulsa 2-1. Jacksonville State 3-1. Southern Miss over Northwestern State 64-10. USM 1-2. Northwestern State 0-3. Memphis over Arkansas State 44-32. Memphis 2-1. Arkansas State 1-2. Charlotte over Georgia State 42-41. Charlotte 1-3. Georgia State 0-3. Middle Tennessee over Tennessee State 49-6. Middle Tennessee 2-1. Tennessee State 0-3. Washington over number 11 Michigan State. Wazoo 3-0. Michigan State 2-1. Number 18 Florida over South Florida 31-28. Florida 2-1. USF 1-2. Number 23 Pitt over Western Michigan 34-13. Pitt 2-1. Western Michigan 1-2. Iowa over Nevada 27-0. Iowa 2-1. Nevada 2-2. Maryland over SMU 34-27. Maryland 3-0. SMU 2-1. Boston College over Maine 38-17. BC 1-2. Maine 0-3. UCF over FAU 40-14. UCF 2-1. FAU 2-2. Rice over Louisiana 33-21. Rice 2-1. ULL 2-1. Number 5 Clemson over Louisiana Tech 48-20. Clemson 3-0. La Tech 1-2. Number 21 Texas over UTSA 41-20. UTSA drops to 1-2. Texas is 2-1. Oregon State over Montana State 68-28. Oregon State 3-0. Montana State 2-1. New Mexico over UTEP 27-10. New Mexico 2-1. And UTEP 1-3. Number 24 Texas A&M over number 3 Miami 17-9. A&M 2-1. Miami 2-1. Number 14 Utah over San Diego State 35-7. Utah 2-1. San Diego State 1-2. Number 7 USC over Fresno State 45-17. USC 3-0. Fresno 1-2. Arizona over North Dakota State 31-28. Arizona 2-1. North Dakota State 2-1. Eastern Michigan upsets Arizona State 30-21. EMU 2-1. Arizona State 1-2. And Hawaii over Duquesne 24-14. Hawaii 1-3. And Duquesne 1-3. Now we'll move on to Major League Baseball. We'll go over the results from the weekend and look ahead to everything going on tonight. So Friday night, Cubs over the Rockies 2-1, Nats over the Marlins 5-4, Blue Jays over the Orioles 6-3, Tigers over the White Sox 3-2 and 10 on a walk-off single. Sac fly by Victor Reyes. Red Sox over the Royals 2-1, Guardians over the Twins 4-3, Mets over the Pirates 4-3, Rangers over the Rays 4-3, Braves over the Phillies 7-2, Brewers over the Yankees 7-6 on a walk-off single by Garrett Mitchell. Astros over the A's 5-0, Cards over the Reds 6-5, Angels over the Mariners 8-7, Pods over the D-backs 12-3, and Dodgers over the Giants 5-0. Saturday, doubleheader Game 1, Guardians over the Twins 5-1, doubleheader Game 1, Cardinals over the Reds 5-1, Rockies over the Cubs 3-1, Blue Jays over the Orioles 6-3, Nats over the Marlins 5-3, Royals over the Red Sox 9-0, White Sox over the Tigers 4-3 and 11, Rays over the Rangers 5-1, Guardians over the Twins 7-6 in 15 innings on a walk-off error as Austin Hedges scores the winning run as the Twins shortstop commits the error. Brewers over the Yankees 4-1, A's over the Astros 8-5, Mets over the Pirates 5-1, Cards over the Reds 1-0 and 11 on a walk-off fielder's choice as Paul Goldschmidt grounded into the fielder's choice and scoring the one that won the game was the catcher, Andrew Ninzer. Braves over the Phillies 4-3. Padres over the D-backs 2-0. Dodgers over the Giants 7-2. And Angels over the Mariners 2-1. Yesterday, White Sox over the Tigers 11-5. Rays over the Rangers 5-3. Red Sox over the Royals 13-3. Marlins over the Nats 3-1. Braves over the Phillies 5-2. Orioles over the Blue Jays 5-4. Twins over the Guardians 3-0. Mets over the Pirates 7-3. Yankees over the Brewers 12-8. Astros over the A's 11-2. Reds over the Cards 3-0. Rockies over the Cubs 4-3. Angels over the Mariners 5-1. Padres over the D-backs 6-1. And the Dodgers over the Giants 4-3 in 10 innings. As the Giants came inches away from a walk-off grand slam against the Dodgers. All right, not many games today. We have a total of 9. 1 o'clock, you have the Twins at the Guardians, Sonny Gray and Cal Quantrill. It's amazing that these two teams are keep going. The Guardians are minus 116 favorites. The Twins are minus 102 over under 7.5. Overs plus 104. Unders minus 128. Twins minus 1.5 is plus 102. Guardians plus 1.5 is minus 210. Twins favored on the run line. Guardians favored on the money line. I think the Guardians at minus 116 have some value, so that's my pick there. 4 o'clock, you have the Mariners at the Angels. Logan Gilbert and Jose Suarez. Mariners minus 120. The Angels are plus 102 over under 7.5. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. Mariners minus 1.5 is plus 146. Angels plus 1.5 is minus 178. I am going to go... I think these lines are perfect when it comes to the money lines. I'm going to go with the under, but I don't feel good about it. 640 Cubs Marlins. Wade Miley and Edward Cabrera. Marlins minus 138, Cubs plus 118, over under 7, overs minus 108, unders minus 112. Cubs plus 1.5 is minus 192, Marlins minus 1.5 is plus 158. I'm going with the Cubs at plus 118. They're favored on ESPN Analytics. Astros Rays, Luis Garcia, Drew Rasmussen, ALCS preview potentially, or DS is the question. The Rays should think about tanking out of that 4-5 because they can absolutely get to the ALCS with the right matchups. The Rays are minus 120. The Astros are plus 102 over under 7. Overs minus 104. Unders minus 118. Astros minus 1.5 is plus 168. Rays plus 1.5 is minus 205. So Rays favored on the money line. Astros favored on the money line. And Vegas agrees. They think the Rays should be favored, and probably an even bigger favorite than minus 120. But for the game, I'm going to go lay the big under 7 at minus 118. 7 o'clock, Tigers-Orioles. Tyler Alexander and Tyler Wells. So the battle of the Tylers. O's minus 196. Tigers plus 162. Over under 8. Overs minus 112. Unders minus 108. Tigers plus 1.5 is minus 122. Orioles minus 1.5 is plus 102. I'm going Orioles run line minus 1.5 at plus 102. Nats Braves at 720. Corey Abbott and Kyle Wright. Braves minus 350. Nats plus 280. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Nats plus 1.5 is plus 138. Braves minus 1.5 is minus 166. I like the over. I think the Braves are going to score a lot here. 7:30 Mets Brewers. So the Yankees and the Mets back-to-back hosting for Milwaukee. You don't see that very often. Where both New York teams go to the same place back-to-back series. Max Scherzer and Corbin Burnes, especially in the NL Central of all divisions, too. Because the Yankees don't play the Brewers often. I mean, it would make sense if it was like Red Sox or Phillies or something like that, but nope. It's the Brewers of all teams. Milwaukee minus 112. Mets minus 104. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Mets minus 1.5 is plus 168. Brewers plus 1.5 is minus 205. By the way, it's Max Scherzer and Corbin Burnes, which is an excellent pitching matchup. So Scherzer back from the injured list. And honestly, they should be favored. I'm taking the Mets at minus 104 outright. 8:30 Giants Rockies. Jacob Junis and Chad Cole. Giants minus 124. Rockies plus 106. Over under 11. Overs minus 120. Unders minus 102. Giants minus 1.5 is plus 118. Rockies plus 1.5 is minus 142. High total. I'm going with the under. And 10 o'clock, you have the D-backs at the Dodgers. Merrill Kelly and Clayton Kershaw. The Dodgers minus 270. The D-backs are plus 220. Over under 7.5. Overs minus 102. Unders minus 120. D-backs plus 1.5 is plus 106. Dodgers minus 1.5 is minus 128. This is a hard one because the prices seem so right. So for this one, I'm going to go Dodgers first half run line minus 1.5 at plus 112. Do I feel good about it? No, but that's where I landed. All right, we got to do Wnba Finals. We forgot to talk about Game 3. We just previewed Game 4 on the Friday show, so I apologize about that. So I'll do Game 3 recap and Game 4 recap. So Game 3, the Sun over the Aces, 105-76 to make it a 2-1 series. John Cole Jones had 20 points in the win, and Jackie Young 22 in defeat. As Alyssa Thomas had a historical triple-double. And then on Sunday, the Aces defeated the Suns 78-71 to win their first ever WNBA championship as they win the series in 4 games. Chelsea Gray, 20 points for Las Vegas, and Courtney Williams had 17 in defeat. And Alyssa Thomas had yet another triple-double. So congratulations to the Las Vegas Aces on the WNBA championship. Becky Hammond wins her first championship as a head coach. You would think that she'll be an NBA head coach. Somebody in my mentions, someone who's been on the podcast before, Steven Lieberman, suggested that Hammond will be an NBA coach by 23-24, which could be accurate. I was convinced she was going to replace Greg Popovich all these years with the Spurs. But we'll see. And good for Becky. So, yeah. As the Aces were easily the best team in the league this year from start to finish. And the WNBA Finals MVP ended up going to Chelsea Gray. 18.3 points per game, 58% shooting. All right, now move on to Major League Soccer. we'll go over the weekend's results. So Saturday, NYCFC over the Red Bulls 2-0. Atlanta, Philly, 0-0 draw. Montreal over New England, 1-0. Orlando over Toronto, 4-0. Charlotte over Chicago, 3-2. Kansas City over Minnesota, 4-1. Austin, Nashville, 1-1 draw. Cincinnati over Salt Lake, 2-1. Vancouver over Seattle, 2-1. LA Galaxy over Colorado, 4-1. San Jose, Dallas, 1-1 draw. And then Sunday, Columbus, Portland, 1-1 draw. Miami over DC United, 3-2. And LAFC over Houston, 3-1. So no more soccer until Saturday, the 21st. No soccer on the podcast till the 24th. So we'll do that on the Friday podcast. Now we'll go into golf. We'll go over the results from the Fortinet Championship. Your winner with the score of 16 under, Max Homa. Coming in second with 15 under, Danny Willett. Third with 13 under, Taylor Montgomery. Tied for fourth with 12 under, Justin Lauer and Bayung Hoon An. Tied for sixth with 11 under, Ricky Fowler, Nate Taylor, and Sahith Thiglia. Tied for ninth with 10 under, Harry English, Brendan Todd, and Davis Thompson. Tied for 12th with 9 under is a pretty large tie. Matt Kuchar, Adam Svensson, Joseph Brumlett, Harrison Endicott, Paul Haley II, Taylor Hogue, Brian Stewart, Zach Blair, and Thomas Dietrich. Tied for 21st with 8 under, Matt Wallace, Max Hubbard, Robbie Shelton, and Zheng Du. Tied for 25th with 7 under, Kremer Hickok, Dylan McCarthy, Hideki Matsuyama, Emiliano Grillo, Mackenzie Hughes, Cam Piercy, Ben Taylor, Bayu Hostler, Austin Smotherman, Russell Knox, and Jimmy Walker. Tied for 36th with 6 under, Alex Duran, Aaron Baddeley, Seung-Hoo Kim, Vincent Norman, Taylor Moore, Will Gordon, and Brandon Hagee. Tied for 43rd with 5 under, Stefan Yeager, Wyndham Clark, Chris Stroud, Alex Smalley, Bryce Garnett, Scott Harrington, Chris Kirk, and Adam Putnam. Tied for 51st with 4 under, Grayson Sieg, Matthias Schwab, Chris Gotterup, and James Hahn. Tied for 55th with 3 under, Adam Schenk, Andrew Landry, Nate Lashley, and Jacob Bridgman. Tied for 59th with 2 under, Brant Snecker, JJ Spawn, Matthias Schmid, Kevin Strowman, and Troy Merritt. Tied for 64th with 1 under, Gary Woodland and Austin Eckroat. 66th at even, Lucas Glover. Now notables. Tied for 67th with 1 over, Ben Martin, Nate Hardy, and Taylor Pendrith. Tied for 70th with 2 over, Michael Thompson and Nate Watney. Tied for 72nd with 4 over, Doug Gibb and Chengson Pond. The rest, cut. Lucas Hodges, Chad Ramey, Luke List, Scott Stevens, Cam Young, Sam Ryder, Adam Cook, Jason Hadley, Peter Malnati, Corey Connors, Cam Davis, Richie Wierenski, Maverick McNeely, Martin Laird, Webb Simpson, Patrick Rogers, Stuart Sink, Jason Duffner, Trey Mullinax, Matthew Neesmith, Max McGreevy, Joel Dahman, Dylan Wu, Tyler Duncan, Patton Kazir, Sam Piercy, Jason Day, Ryan Moore, Cam Champ, Dylan Lingerman, Harry Higgs, Ryan Moore, Grayson Higo, Callum Tarrant, Brendan Steele, Vincent Whaley, Davis Riley, David Lipsky, Dylan Fratelli, Michael Giljic, Danny Lee, Henrik Norlander, Doc Redman, and withdrawing Brandon Matthews. Next PGA Tour event is the Sanderson Farms Championship, which is not this weekend, but next weekend. We'll do that on the podcast. And now we'll do the live results. They just had their event from Chicago, which we forgot to talk about on the podcast. So, coming in first with the score of 13 under is Cameron Smith. Second with 10 under, Peter Yulin. And third with 10 under, Dustin Johnson is your top three. So it pretty much was a 3-horse race there. And the next live event will be from October 7th to the 9th in Bangkok, in Thailand. Okay, NASCAR. We'll go over the results from the weekend. And we'll start with Xfinity. The Cheddar's 300 from Bristol. Your winner, Noah Gragson. Second, Brandon Jones. Third, Austin Hill. Fourth, Sam Meyer. Fifth, Riley Herbst. Sixth, AJ Allmendinger. Seventh, Josh Berry. Eighth, Stephon Parsons. Ninth, Justin Allgaier. 10th, Ryan Sieg. The rest, Bailey Curry, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Anthony Alfredo, Sammy Smith, Jeb Burton, Jeremy Clements, Kyle Weatherman, Sage Karam, Ryan Ellis, Daniel Hemrick, Josh Williams, Myatt Snyder, Joe Graff Jr., CJ McLaughlin, Chris Wright, Alex Labb, Patrick Emmerling, Ronnie Bassett Jr., Nick Sanchez, David Starr, Bobby McCarty, Mason Massey, J.J. Yaley, B.J. McLeod, Landon Castle, Ty Gibbs, Sheldon Creed, and Brandon Brown. And the Cup Series. Your winner from Bristol, Chris Boucher. That's crazy. Coming in second, Chase Elliott. Third, William Byron. Fourth, Chris Bell. Fifth, Kyle Larson. Sixth, Ross Chasen. Seventh, AJ Allmendinger. Eighth, Cole Kurster. Ninth, Denny Hamlin. 10th, Kevin Harvick. The rest, Michael McDowell, Justin Haley, Brad Keselowski, Chase Briscoe, Corey LaJoie, Harrison Burton, Cody Ware, Todd Gilliland, Daniel Suarez, Allison Cindric, Eric Jones, Landon Castle, J.J. Yaley, B.J. McLeod, Tyler Reddick, Ty Dillon, Joey Logano, Eric Almirola, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Blaney, Austin Dillon, Alec Bowman, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs, Martin Truex Jr. Alrighty. Now we're going to do the Major League Baseball Power Rankings, and I have a theme for the Power Rankings this week for both Major League Baseball and NFL. I'll paint my flag, which is something that I feel very confident that has happened or will happen over this past year, or it could go into next season, which would apply to a couple of these teams here. So here we go, the Power Rankings. Number 30, the Washington Nationals. I'll paint my flag that Dave Martinez won't be back in 2023. New ownership coming in, potentially, and they're 3 years removed from the World Series. Time to move on. Number 29, the Oakland Athletics. I'll paint my flag that they'll win that Frankie Montas deal in a landslide. I think J.P. Sears, getting him in that trade was an absolute steal. He was so good for the Yankees before that trade for Frankie Montas. And Montas has been incredibly disappointing for the Yankees. And he's a free agent next year, but To me, it's just another Sonny Gray, James Paxton kind of deal, unfortunately. Number 28, the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'll paint my flag that Brian Reynolds will be traded this offseason. He's been in trade rumors for a long time. You're going to have a bunch of teams interested, especially teams that miss out on Aaron Judge this offseason. Number 27, the Detroit Tigers will be a surprise team early 2023. I believe that they had a ton of injuries all season long. Their younger players are only going to get better. So I'll paint my flag there. Number 26, the Cincinnati Reds. I'll paint my flag that Hunter Green will be an National League Cy Young sleeper pick in 2023. He's shown some promise in his rookie year despite some lousy numbers, but a lot of people love this kid. Number 25, the Miami Marlins. I'll paint my flag that Don Mattingly will not be back. I feel pretty good about this one time. He's run his course with him in Miami. He has only made the playoffs one time, and he deserved Manager of the Year that year. That's for sure, but he won't be back. Number 24, the Kansas City Royals. I'll paint my flag that Mike Matheny won't be back either. Mike Matheny really hasn't turned the Royals around. He's an old-school kind of manager like Joe Girardi, so I think he's out. Number 23, the Chicago Cubs. I'll paint my flag that the team will land a star player in the offseason. I don't know who it's going to be. Could be Shohei Ohtani. Could be Mike Trout. Could be Aaron Judge. Could be Rafael Devers. Could be Xander Bogaerts. Could be Jacob deGrom. It could be anybody. It's going to be somebody. One of those names I mentioned, or a star player I'm not even thinking of that could be on a different team in 2023, whether it's trade or free agent. Because they missed out on Juan Soto, although they really weren't in on him. But I think they're going to try so hard and get a star, whether Contreras leaves or not. Number 22, the Texas Rangers. I'll paint my flag that Josh Jung will have a big season in 2023. I love Josh Jung. Highly touted prospect. Disappointing start to his big league career, but I think that he'll be great in 2023. Number 21, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I'll paint my flag that this roster will be dramatically different come spring training. I think there's a possibility that both stars are traded, or it could be the other way. I think there's a possibility that they go the other way and try to build a contender around the two guys. But either way, their roster will be dramatically different come spring training. Number 20, the Colorado Rockies. I'll paint my flag that Chris Bryant will be in trade rumors this offseason. Yes, I know he just signed a big money deal. He's been terrible. And I think there's going to be trade rumors around him. Number 19, the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'll paint my flag that they'll make a splashy move this offseason. I don't know who that will be for. It could be one of the guys I mentioned for the Cubs, or it could be somebody in like that lower tier that could make that team better. Number 18, the San Francisco Giants. I'll paint my flag that they'll be a popular bounce back pick in 2023. Maybe they sign Aaron Judge, maybe they sign Jacob deGrom, and they're a contender. Maybe they're the team that acquires Ohtani, but they'll be a very popular bounce back pick in 2023 and a popular playoff pick too. Number 17, the Boston Red Sox. I'll paint my flag that Rafael Devers will get a contract extension. Devers is the best player on this team by a mile, and they need to keep him. Plain and simple. They don't want to make the same mistake they made with Mookie Betts. Number 16, the Minnesota Twins. I'll paint my flag that their trade with the Yankees didn't make that team any better. I think they would have been the same team even if they didn't make that trade. I think the Yankees would have been a worse team. That's a very unpopular opinion because of the limitations behind the plate of Gary Sanchez. That's why I say that. But that's the reason why I don't think that made the Twins any better. Number 15, the Chicago White Sox. I'll paint my flag that Tony La Russa, 0 chance he's back. 0. I know it's a harsh thing to say, especially with somebody that is going through stuff off the field. But put that aside, I'm sorry. He's just been a bad manager. He's too old school. And he probably shouldn't have been hired by the White Sox in the first place. I feel like he held that team back the last several years. Number 14, the Baltimore Orioles. I'll paint my flag that they'll make a big move in the offseason. I don't know who that is either. They really need help pitching, so maybe they're a sleeper for DeGrom or somebody like beneath that level. Maybe they'll sign like Jameson Taillon, or I know Taillon's not that great, but they'll make a move to that'll make that team better. Number 13, the Milwaukee Brewers. I'll paint my flag that David Stearns will move on to a larger role. I don't think he's going to be fired. I just think that he'll leave and go somewhere that he will get a better opportunity. Like the Mets president's job is open. Maybe he goes there. Maybe, who knows? Maybe the Yankees collapse. Brian Cashman's out. Maybe he goes there. It's very unlikely, but I'm just trying to think of possibilities for him. Maybe Chaim Bloom's out in Boston. Maybe he goes there. But he'll go somewhere that will make him the president of baseball operations. Or maybe it's maybe it's the Padres if they get rid of A.J. Preller. Number 12, the Seattle Mariners. I'll paint my flag that they'll be the darlings of the American League West next season. I think they'll be a very popular pick to win that division. And that the Astros are a team kind of nearing the end of their window, and I feel like people are going to gravitate towards Seattle. Number 12, the Philadelphia Phillies. I'll paint my flag that they'll land a star shortstop in the offseason. I don't know if that's Xander Bogaerts or Trey Turner, but they'll land one of those two players. That's another Cubs possibility. I don't want to say that's an Orioles possibility because they have a shortstop that's up right now that they consider their shortstop of the future. So maybe they'll go in a different direction. Number 10, the Cleveland Guardians. I'll paint my flag that they did very well in the Francisco Lindor trade, but they're still not quite winners of that trade. Francisco Lindor is a star player. His numbers aren't great with the Mets. You could argue he's been disappointing with the Mets, but Andrés Giménez and Ahmed Rosario have been wonderful players for the Guardians, but they're not stars. If you trade a star, you need a star back. Neither of them are stars. It's the same rule for the NBA, in my opinion. Number 9, the San Diego Padres. I'll paint my flag that A.J. Preller won't be back if the team doesn't make the NLCS. A.J. Preller's gone all in on this team, all in, but it hasn't worked. I know there's been injuries and whatnot, but it's the same song and dance every year at the Padres, it feels like. And Juan Soto's been disappointing. So, we'll see. But that's my hot take there. Number 8, the Tampa Bay Rays. I'll paint my flag that they have the very best shot to knock off the Yankees or the Astros in the prior to the ALCS and make the ALCS. If I'm the Rays, I tank out of that 4-5 and try for the Yankees. That's because that's their best avenue of getting to the League Championship Series. But I think they have the single best shot out of them, the Mariners, and the Blue Jays, and the Guardians to knock off the top two in the American League. Number 7, the Toronto Blue Jays. I'll paint my flag that their vaccine advantage did not work and will not work. The Blue Jays are not even first in the AL East. And there's been games where they've been large favorites against teams that couldn't play certain players due to their vaccination status. The Cardinals with Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, looking at you, went out in Toronto and beat them outright. And Toronto was like a minus 250 favorite. I'll never forget that. And that's what made me realize, it's really not that big of an advantage. Toronto at home is only 40-32. 40-32. If they took advantage of that, they'd have the best record in the American League, perhaps. Better than the Yankees, better than the Astros. Number 7, the St. Louis Cardinals. I'll paint my flag that Yankees trade, the Bader-Montgomery deal, is not a slam dunk win. It's funny that a lot of these I'll paint my flags have to do with the Yankees trades. But the reason why I don't think this is a slam dunk is because the reason the Yankees traded Jordan Montgomery away is because he has limitations as a starting pitcher. I know Montgomery's a great fit in the National League, but their analytics department didn't like him. And Harrison Bader could come in and replace Aaron Hicks in the outfield and be wonderful defensively and offensively be okay. And I'm not the biggest Harrison Bader fan. Everybody knows that. But I still don't think that trade is a slam dunk for the Cardinals because of Jordan Montgomery's flaws. And a good example of that is watch his start against the Mets. The Cardinals might have to face the Mets in the playoffs. Number 5, the New York Yankees. I'll paint my flag that Aaron Judge will be the unanimous American League MVP. I just don't see how Shohei Ohtani will get an MVP vote. Aaron Judge might break the home run record for the American League, and he might win the Triple Crown. How do you not vote for him for the MVP? If I'm not mistaken, the year Mickey Cabrera won the Triple Crown, he was unanimous. If that's the case, so should Aaron Judge. And Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball, no doubt about it. Number 4, the Atlanta Braves. I'll paint my flag that they'll regret trading for Matt Olson and not paying Freddie Freeman. This is an extreme hot take, but the reason why I say this is because I think Shea Langoliers is going to be a great young catcher. I think there's a chance they win the Matt Olson deal in the landslide too. I like Matt Olson. He's a wonderful player. But Freddie Freeman was a long-time Brave. He was a forever player for them, I thought. And I still think Freddie Freeman's a better player than Matt Olson. And Freddie Freeman's been amazing with the Dodgers this year. Number 3, the New York Mets. I'll paint my flag. We'll have to change this one because I didn't realize he was back today. I said Max Scherzer will be back before October. But here's a good one. I'll paint my flag that Edwin Diaz will blow a big save come October. I don't think there's a single Major League Baseball closer I trust in the postseason. Not one. You see elite closers fold in October all the time. Even Mariano folded in October several times. So, I'm going to say that Edwin Diaz will blow a big save in the playoffs, whether that's against the Dodgers, against, if they win the division, maybe they play the Phillies in round 1, or if they're a wild card, they'll play the Cardinals, but he'll blow a big save against somebody. And people are going to say that they shouldn't pay him. Number 2, the Houston Astros. I'll paint my flag that with Justin Verlander back, they're a lock to go to the World Series. I don't see how they don't make it. He's back and better than ever. Framber Valdez has been incredible this year. So is some of their other pitchers. So I don't see how they lose. And that was just a couple of moments ago, me saying that Tampa Bay can beat him. I think they can beat him too. But it just feels like a lock. It's not even a lock that the Rays get by the Blue Jays, for crying out loud. So that's why I say that. Number 2, the Houston Astros. Okay, we just did them. Number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers. No doubt about it. I'll paint my flag that Trey Turner won't be back. There's rumors that he wants to go to the East Coast. I feel like he's probably going to end up in Philadelphia. It's just a gut feeling I have. Maybe the Yankees if they don't believe in Anthony Volpe. Or I think the Yankees are a possibility if they lose out on Judge and they trade the farm for Ohtani. That's what they're going to do if they lose Judge. They're going to sign Trey Turner, who's a great player, and trade all their assets for Ohtani. But I would not do that. I'd pay Aaron Judge, and that's it. The Yankees' offseason will be based on Aaron Judge. That's it. But the Dodgers, I don't think they'll bring back Trey Turner, and they'll put Gavin Lux in as their starting shortstop. All right, Dancing with the Stars begins tonight. I'm going to go over the cast. And the big change for this year is that it's going to be on Disney+. So that is something very different. Tyra Banks returns as host, and Alfonso Ribeiro will join her as a co-host, which is pretty cool. So the judges are, as usual, Carrie Ann Inaba, Len Goodman, Bruno Tonioli, and Derico. So it's Huff, it's Tonoli, Goodman, and Inaba, as usual. So the cast. So Joseph Baina and Daniela Karagach, Selma Blair and Sasha Farber, Wayne Brady and Whitney Carson, Sam Champion and Cheryl Burke, Charlie D'Amelio and Mark Ballas, Heidi D'Amelio and Artem Javinistev, Jesse James Decker and Alan Burston, Trevor Donovan and Emma Slater, Daniel Durant and Britt Stewart, Teresa Giudice and Pasha Pashkov, Vinny Guadagnino and Coco Owaski, Cheryl Ladd and Luis Van Armstel, Jason Lewis and Peta Mukatroid, Shangela, how about that? Shangela's on Dancing with the Stars. Laquifa and Gleb Shavenko, Jordan Sparks and Brandon Armstrong, and Gabby Windy and Val Tremovsky. So it should be a fun season. And if I had to pick a winner, I like the idea of Shangela on this show. I think that is pretty cool. My preseason pick of last season came in second. They were the runners-up. It was JoJo Siwa and her partner. But, you know what? This gentleman won the Masked Singer. I think he's going to win the Dancing with the Stars. Wayne Brady and Whitney Carson. Let's go. I love the idea of Wayne Brady on this show. I think he's going to be fabulous. All right, now I'll move on to news and notes for today. A lot to get to in news and notes today. We'll start with football. Dan Campbell got emotional after the win. After 6-year journeyman Dan Skipper got his first career start yesterday. There's a huge brawl in Bucs Saints as Mike Evans blasted Marshawn Lattimore and both players got ejected. Jacoby Myers doubts the Patriots offense yesterday. He goes, I question what the plan is sometimes and how we're going to attack. Tyrod Taylor is suing the Chargers doctors $5 million in medical malpractice lawsuit against LA's current team doctor after a 2020 punctured lung. The Buccaneers will give Tom Brady off on Wednesdays, which is very strange. Former Patriot and late Raider lineman Shelby Jordan passes away at the age of 70. 12 years in the league and was a member of the Super Bowl championship team. It was Super Bowl 18. Some 49ers players come out and say that they're a better team with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback after Trey Lance gets injured during that game as he was lost for the season with an ankle injury. That's brutal for Trey Lance and the 49ers. And now, with the broken ankle, Jimmy Garoppolo is now their starting quarterback again. Multiple teams eyeing Cole Beasley as the Bucs, Bills, and Cowboys wideout is generating serious interest from multiple teams, but awaiting the right opportunity. Rams, maybe? So, George Kittle missed that game for the Niners as well. Patrick Surtain and Jerry Jeudy both left the game against the Texans with shoulder injuries. Jameis Winston has 4 fractures in his back as he played through a lot of pain. And that was reported by Jay Glazer before the game, so it makes sense to why he had a terrible performance. Raiders wide receiver Hunter Renfrow is in concussion protocol after the hit on the final play against the Cardinals. Justin Herbert fractured his rib in the Thursday night loss, remains day-to-day. I think he's going to be out for several weeks. I really do. Chase Daniel's not the worst backup in the world. They can win some games with Daniel. I don't know if they'll beat the Jaguars on Sunday with Chase Daniel. We'll see. But I think it's a possibility. Dalton Schultz will have MRI on his knee. No concern about his ACL structure. Leonard Williams left the game with a knee injury for the Giants. So, college football. Arizona State fires Herm Edwards after its loss to Eastern Michigan. Sans some investigations going on. So, not surprising that Herm lost his job. Maybe he'll go back to ESPN. And now the question is, who will Arizona State hire? New AP poll is out. Your top 25. 1, Georgia. 2, Alabama. 3, Ohio State. 4, Michigan. 5, Clemson. 6, Oklahoma. 7, USC. 8, Kentucky. 9, Oklahoma State. 10, Arkansas. 11, Tennessee. 12, NC State. 13, Utah. 14, Penn State. 15, Oregon. 16, Ole Miss. 17, Baylor. 18, Washington. 19, BYU. 20, Florida. 21, Wake. 22, Texas. 23, Texas A&M. 24, Pitt. 25, Miami. Others receiving votes. Michigan State, Florida State, App State, North Carolina, Washington State, Cincinnati, Oregon State, Minnesota, Kansas. You don't see Kansas up there very often. Syracuse, LSU, and Wisconsin. And dropping from the rankings, Michigan State. Baseball. Astros starter Framber Valdez, 25 straight quality starts. A new single-season record. That is incredible. Dodgers fastest to 100 wins at 144 games in franchise history. That is just incredible. David Price retiring this season after 14 years of a wonderful career. So congratulations to David Price. Great career. Aroldis Chapman activated from the 15-day injured list for the Yankees. Frankie Montas is having shoulder MRI. He's optimistic. Injury isn't too bad, but felt something after the game. Aaron Judge says I play to win, as he's focused on the Yankees and not individual accolades. I've never played the game for stats. He is just amazing. Harrison Bader back for the Yankees on Tuesday against the Pirates, so that is good news for them. Eugenio Suarez to the injured list with a fractured finger. Brutal news for the Mariners. Jordan Hicks to the injured list with fatigue and neck spasms. Brutal for the Cardinals. Ozzie Albies, after coming back from the broken foot, fractures his finger, as he's out for the rest of the regular season, but could be available in the playoffs. Jazz Chisholm played with a torn meniscus as he had his surgery on Friday, expected to be back for spring training after the season-ending back injury. So that's crazy. Zach Wheeler nearing his return, as his simulated game went well, so that'd be wonderful news for the Phillies. Starling Marte still bothered by his finger, but is still confident in return by the end of the regular season. They need him back. We forgot a college football thing, is that Arch Manning had a $280,000 official visit, as the Longhorns broke the bank to make Manning feel like the king of Austin during his recruiting trip. Basketball, WNBA, we talked about Chelsea Gray winning the Finals MVP. She said she worked very hard for it. Aja Wilson shouts out Chelsea Gray. When you got Chelsea Gray, I ain't worried about a damn thing, Galja goes. And then Kelsey Plum, there's a video of her on a jet. She says, "I'm so faded, I can't even taste this." Russell Westbrook could get benched, as the Lakers strongly considering bringing him off the bench for the first time since his rookie year. That's crazy. The Lakers are interested in the Jazz trio of Bojan Bogdanovic, Jordan Clarkson, and Malik Beasley. Of course they are. Everybody is. Bob Myers opens up about the roster. There's talks about Draymond being the odd man out. And Jordan Poole is restricted free agency if not extended by October 17th. The Knicks signed Ryan Articano on an undisclosed deal, reunites with Jalen Brunson. Arquitecano, I don't know how to say his name. Dennis Schroeder returning to the Lakers, 1 year, $2.64 million. And of course, Bleacher Report, no, not for $84 million. Of course, we know what happened there. Hockey, Sidney Crosby and Marc-Andre Fleury reunite during the NHL Player Media Tour. David Pastrnak wants to stay in Boston, as he's hopeful a contract extension will get done. "I love it here. It's an honor to wear this jersey." The Jets take the C from Blake Wheeler, as the team will use a group of assistants instead of one captain for the 22-23 season, which is insane. The league using alligators in Florida, as they want to include alligators in the 2023 All-Star Outdoor event in Florida. Canelo Alvarez beats GGG, dominates early and ends the trilogy with a unanimous win over GGG to stay super middleweight champ. And Marco Rios was stretched off the field as he injured his ankle just 2 months until the World Cup, so that is not good news for soccer. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. There's a couple baseball ones that I liked. I did think about the Bills under, but I didn't want to go there. I'm going to go with the quarter unit And I'm going to go with the Orioles run line, -1.5 at +102. Do I feel good about this pick? No. Not really, but it's one of the ones I like the best. So I'm going to lay to -1.5 at +102 with the Orioles against the Tigers for my best bet. All right, that's it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything and looking at everything going on tomorrow. Wednesday's Masked Singer and Survivor, so we have to preview each of those seasons on the Wednesday show. And then obviously news and notes and best bet too. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.